Doctor Who Series 7 is the third and final series to star Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor, and I'm very excited to give you guys my review for the series. If you've seen it, be sure to leave a comment on what you thought about it, and as well be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get into this review. So as I said, Doctor Who Series 7 is Matt Smith's final series as the Doctor, and for me, I think it was his weakest series, unfortunately. I still enjoy it for the most part, but it was definitely a step down from his previous 2 series, and I think a step down from the previous 6 series of the modern Doctor Who. It's got some fun episodes for sure. I found all the episodes, or not all of them, but most of them sort of were kind of forgettable within all the episodes Doctor Who has, but they sort of range from being forgettable but fun while watching to forgettable and boring. That's how I felt about most of these episodes. There are some standouts, and for me, I always sort of clump the Day of the Doctor and the Time of the Doctor with Series 7. They're like special, so they're kind of not really part of a series technically, I think, but I sort of just put them with Series 7, so that will up my overall score for the series. Otherwise it would be a little bit lower, but those 2 episodes, because I clumped them, it raises my score for Series 7. And also Series 7 compared to the previous series feels like it's like kind of 2 different series in one. You got the first half, which has Rory and Amy as the companions, and then it sort of shifts and it brings in Clara as a new companion, and it's sort of just a different dynamic. It just feels different. It felt kind of odd to have the companions have their big send-off in the middle of this series, not in the end of the series. I don't know if there was a reason why they had to do that. I'm not sure. It just sort of felt off. And I think overall I kind of prefer the first half of this series a little bit. Still, the episodes aren't usually great there, but I prefer it a bit more. I think part of that is that Rory and Amy are there. I do enjoy Clara as a companion, but I prefer her with Peter Capaldi's Doctor rather than Matt Smith's Doctor. And the first half, like I said, has Rory and Amy, and you get a bit more River Song too. River Song's not actually in this series as much as she was in the previous 2, so that was kind of disappointing too, because I like her character. But Rory and Amy helped it out. The start of this series with the Asylum of the Daleks, that was a pretty decent episode. I didn't like how at the start Rory and Amy had sort of separated. They fixed that. I didn't really buy into them getting that way, but whatever. It was a pretty decent start to this series. And there's some other fun ones, like A Town Called Mercy. I enjoy that episode. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, another fun one. Power 3, that's alright. So they're like fun, but nothing great. They're not particularly memorable. And then you get the episode where Amy and Rory do exit the show, and I'm very mixed about it. I know it's one that, when you look at sort of the ratings for each episodes on things like IMDb, it's got a higher rating. But for me, I got mixed feelings about it. The Angels Take Manhattan's what the episode's called. And I enjoyed the Weeping Angels, but this episode just had things I wasn't a fan of, like the send-off of the 2 characters. I just didn't like what their fate was, where they sort of like, I got stuck in this hotel forever because of the Weeping Angels. I didn't like that at all. It just didn't, not everything Doctor Who is happy for sure, but this one just, compared to some other exits for characters that aren't always happy, this one just doesn't sit right for me for whatever reason. I just didn't like the way they were sent off in this series. And 2, also in this episode, I felt like at the start they had sort of set up a way that they could actually save Rory and Amy, the way River Song was sort of traveling through time with her bracelet machine. I can't remember exactly what they referred it as, but just the way how it seemed to work differently from the TARDIS, I felt like they were setting up a way they could have saved Rory and Amy, but they didn't. And there's some nitpicky things, like I watched the episode a little while ago, so it's not too fresh in my mind, but I can remember a fair amount of it because I've seen it plenty of times. And I remember there's this point where Rory and Amy are sort of trapped on top of the building. They're on the roof, and they can't find a way down, so they're going to jump. And when they're standing on the edge, I'm pretty sure you see the Doctor come up a ladder. So it sort of just felt like, really? They're looking for a way out, and there's a ladder right there, but they didn't see it. I don't know. It's a small thing, but it just bothers me whenever I watch it. So it is a mixed bag, but there were some fun episodes before that. And then after that, they bring in Clara more as the main Doctor Who companion. She did appear in the first episode, so they had sort of set up something with her. Then she appears in the sort of start of the second half of Series 7 as like a variant of Clara or something, a version of her in a different time. So they set up that. Then in the next episode, the Doctor goes and finds sort of the main Clara, and it's fine. I found more of the episodes in the second half of the series were more forgettable and not as interesting while watching, whereas in the first half they were kind of forgettable but fun while watching. It was sort of different in the second half. Some of the episodes, like, you know, Into the TARDIS or Into the Heart of the TARDIS, that was fun. The Name of the Doctor, the final episode of the like main Series 7 before The Day of the Doctor and The Time of the Doctor, really enjoyed that episode. That was cool. But the other ones were just sort of forgettable. There were ones were like, oh cool, they're setting up more of this horror type situation, but then they sort of do this switch and you're like, oh, it's not actually that scary at all. So on rewatch it sort of takes away from the experience. So it was a mixed bag. Like, there is fun there, and overall like I said, I do enjoy the series. It's not as good as the previous 6 series. But then you get The Day of the Doctor and The Time of the Doctor, which I'm including in Series 7. The Day of the Doctor for me is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who. It is like fan service galore, but it's done very well. It's great. They bring back David Tennant's Doctor. They sort of create a new Doctor, because I guess Christopher Eccleston couldn't come back for this, so they create the War Doctor, played by John Hurt. And I enjoyed the story that they told in that. I thought it was great. I always enjoy watching that episode. It's fantastic. And then The Time of the Doctor, I really enjoy as well. It's Matt Smith's send-off. I thought they gave him a really good send-off. Pretty emotional. Enjoyed that episode as well. I liked sort of what they did with his regeneration abilities, which they sort of undo later on. But in that episode, it was good. So those 2 episodes really hold up this series for me. So like the final 3, The Name of the Doctor, Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, it's sort of like a trilogy of episodes. Those are like the strong point of this series for me, and I really enjoyed that. But overall, Series 7, while I do enjoy it for the most part, is a step down, and it's sort of too bad that Matt Smith went off on sort of his most forgettable series. Because Series 5 was really fun. Series 6 was also really fun. This one has fun in it, but it's just more forgettable. There's more episodes that are just kind of mediocre. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Doctor Who Series 7. For me, I would give Series 7 a 71%. If I didn't include The Day of the Doctor and The Time of the Doctor, my score may have been more like a 68. But I'm including it. I just clumped them with Series 7. So anyway, those are my thoughts. If you guys have seen Series 7, let me know what you thought about it. As well, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to stay tuned for some more reviews coming soon. I'm hoping to see the new Puss in Boots movie soon, so I should have a review for that out. As well, I'm going to have a review out later this week of Spider-Man 2, so stay tuned for those. And until my next video, take care everybody.